It was supposed to be another headline, another milestone in a career already dripping with records, broken barriers, and sold-out arenas. Caitlin Clark had just inked a deal that would make history, a $25 million monster contract with Nike, the kind of deal that shuts down boardrooms and sends shockwaves across every corner of the sports world. But what nobody saw coming was that this deal wasn't really about Caitlin at all. This wasn't just another sneaker announcement. This wasn't your average PR stunt or a glossy commercial drop. This was a power move with purpose, precision, and heart. Because while everyone was obsessing over the dollar signs and the signature shoe rumors, Caitlin Clark had something else brewing, a plan that would rewrite how deals are done, how teammates are honored, and how loyalty is rewarded in a league that often forgets what it means to stand by your people. She was about to drop the biggest assist of her career, and not one person saw it coming. As cameras flash and analysts scramble for takes, Caitlin remained calm, unbothered, unmoved by the chaos she created, because she knew the real story hadn't even started yet. This wasn't about hype, it was about legacy. And the moment that legacy began wasn't when she signed the contract. It was what she did after the ink dried that left the entire WNBA speechless. You see, this wasn't a buzzer beater. It was a chess move, cold, calculated, emotional. Clark didn't just break records. She broke the unspoken rules. In a world where rookies are expected to wait their turn, keep their head down, and play nice with corporate giants, Caitlin looked Nike dead in the eye and said, "I'm bringing someone with me." And that's when the storm began to build. It was a quiet night in Indianapolis when it happened. Nike had staged what seemed like a low-key celebration, a soft rollout of Caitlin's landmark contract. The room was filled with executives, cameras, and the usual corporate fanfare. But sitting quietly near the back, unaware of the tidal wave about to crash into her life, was Sophie Cunningham. Caitlin had invited her like it was nothing. No hint, no warning. Just come through. The lights dimmed. The projector fired up. And what unfolded on the screen was a cinematic tribute to Caitlin's journey. Her days dominating at Iowa. The noise, the hate, the sold-out games, the bruises, the buzzer beaters. But beneath it all was a pulse, a heartbeat that said, "This story isn't just about me." Then came the moment that stunned the room. Nike handed Caitlin a gold-stitched jersey, a symbol of immortality. But instead of slipping it on, she paused. She turned, slowly, calmly, and with the weight of the league watching. She looked at Sophie and said, "This isn't just for me. This is for every woman who shows up, fights hard, and protects her team." You could have heard a pin drop. This wasn't a soundbite. This was a seismic shift in sports culture. Every player in that room felt it in their chest. Every executive suddenly realized this wasn't just another deal. This was a declaration. And then it got even louder, without a word. In a glass case at the front of the room sat a mysterious box. Caitlin walked over, opened it, and pulled out something no one had seen before, a custom Sophie Cunningham Player Edition Nike sneaker. Indiana Fever colors. The words "No Backing Down" stitched boldly on the heel. The crowd gasped, but Caitlin wasn't done. Tucked inside the box was a contract, a real, binding, official Nike sub. Caitlin had negotiated it herself. She didn't just thank Sophie with words. She handed her a seat at the table. This was unheard of. In a league where players claw for every minute, every deal, every ounce of spotlight, Caitlin Clark shared hers. No headlines, no leaks, just pure, unfiltered gratitude. Sophie Cunningham wasn't just a teammate anymore. She was Nike family because Caitlin demanded it. This wasn't a favor. This was power, wielded gracefully. And let's be clear, this didn't happen in a vacuum. From the moment Caitlin entered the league, it wasn't cheers she was met with, it was chaos. Physical hits, online slander, passive-aggressive interviews. Angel Reese, Dejanai Carrington. Every week was a new headline, a new shove, a new target on her back. But when the refs swallowed their whistles and teammates stayed silent, one player kept showing up, Sophie Cunningham. Sophie didn't ask for credit. She didn't post about it. She didn't go on talk shows. She just did the work. She took the hard fouls. She got in people's faces. She stood up when Caitlin was knocked down. She wasn't trying to go viral. She was trying to protect her team. Caitlin noticed, and she remembered when it was her time to shine. She didn't forget who stood in the fire with her. It was a message, and it rang out louder than any endorsement ever could. And you want to talk about reactions? The locker room was shattered. Alyssa Thomas, one of the WNBA's most respected vets, was overheard telling staffers, "She just gave Sophie the kind of shine most of us never get in our entire careers." This wasn't staged. This wasn't PR. This was real. For the first time, players saw a star use her power for someone else, and the impact was immediate. Rookies started asking different questions. Veterans took a hard look at what legacy really means. The Fever's entire locker room began walking differently, taller, tighter, and Nike, they didn't just accept the move, they amplified it. What began as a Caitlyn deal was now a campaign built on loyalty, unity, and raw emotion. And let's not forget, this changed how deals get done. Caitlyn didn't just pull Sophie into her orbit, she launched her. For the first time in WNBA history, a player would release her own signature shoe because of another player's deal. That's historic. That's unprecedented. And it's not just a win for Sophie. It's a message to every overlooked, bruised, and forgotten grinder in the league. Someone sees you. The no backing down PE sneaker isn't just footwear, it's a symbol, a battle cry. And when it drops, you better believe it'll be gone in seconds. Not just because fans love Sophie, but because fans love what it means. In a league often buried beneath politics and bad calls, this sneaker is a beam of clarity. A moment of truth stitched into every step. But Caitlyn's vision didn't stop there. While the cameras were focused on the sneakers, Clark was already building something even bigger behind the scenes, a mentorship initiative for girls in underfunded communities. Not a donation, not a pop-up camp, a sustainable program, one that brings clinics, gear, and actual WNBA players, including herself and Sophie, directly to the girls who need it most. Real work, real access, real impact, no filters, no corporate gloss, just Caitlyn showing up where it counts. She's taking the very power she earned and planting it in the next generation. That's not charity, it's legacy. That's not influence, it's transformation. And in a league still fighting for respect, that's how you flip the narrative from underdog to architect. And if you think this was a one-off, think again. Nike is already leaning all the way in. Built for each other campaigns, loyalty-themed ad spots, behind-the-scenes vlogs, a merch line with meaning. This isn't about selling shoes anymore. This is about selling truth, selling sisterhood, and selling a vision for what women's sports can become when ego takes a backseat to empathy. Because in a world drowning in brand deals that mean nothing, Caitlyn Clark just made one that means everything. She took $25 million and used it to hand the mic to someone else. She looked across the table at a billion-dollar brand and said, "I'm not doing this alone." And Nike, to their credit, didn't just agree, they amplified it. Because loyalty sells, because authenticity is rare, and because Caitlyn Clark isn't just playing the game, she's rewriting the rules. So when people ask, why Sophie? The answer is simple. Because when everyone else looked away, she stepped in, and now the world can't look away. Sophie Cunningham didn't beg for the spotlight. Caitlyn Clark dragged the spotlight to her, and in doing so, created a moment that every athlete, every fan, and every future star will never forget. This wasn't just a business play. It was a culture reset. Caitlyn Clark didn't flex her power by taking more. She flexed it by giving more. In a league that's still scratching and clawing for visibility, for respect, for equal footing, Caitlyn made a statement that will echo for generations. She didn't need to dominate a stat sheet that night. She dominated the narrative. And in doing so, she shattered every old school notion of what leadership in women's sports looks like. Because this is what the WNBA has always deserved. Moments where the grind gets honored, where loyalty isn't punished, and where the players who take bruises in silence are finally brought to the front of the line. Sophie wasn't a headline grabber. She wasn't chasing magazine covers. She was just doing the dirty work that holds teams together. And in one bold moment, Caitlyn Clark made sure that work didn't go unseen. Now the ripple effect, it's real. Across the league, you could feel it. Players on other teams, they weren't just inspired, they were floored. Conversations in locker rooms shifted overnight. Young players started to ask themselves, what would I do with that kind of power? Veterans started realizing, maybe there's a new way to lead. Because when the biggest name in the league chooses to lift someone else, without cameras, without campaigns, it sets a new standard. And that standard, it's spreading like wildfire. Agents are getting calls. Brands are watching closer. The WNBA isn't just producing talent, it's producing movements. Movements built on trust, movements built on impact. And Caitlin Clark, she just lit the fuse. Not with a flashy dunk or viral clip, but with a gesture that came from the heart and hit like a freight train. What she did wasn't flashy, but it was fearless. And now, all eyes are on what's next, because Nike's not done. The Built for Each Other campaign was only the beginning. You're going to see billboards, commercials, exclusive behind-the-scenes content with Caitlin and Sophie laughing in the locker room, mentoring kids at camps, and designing gear with meaning. This isn't about selling shoes, it's about selling substance. And for a sports landscape drowning in noise, that substance feels revolutionary. You can already feel the marketing shift. No more shallow slogans. No more empty partnerships. This is storytelling with teeth. Every ad spot from here on out is going to scream one message. We don't win alone. We don't rise alone. And we don't forget the ones who stood behind us when no one else would, because when you reward loyalty, you invite others to build it too. And here's the thing, Nike didn't lose a dollar doing it. In fact, they gained millions. Those custom Sophie P's, already rumored to be the most anticipated drop in WNBA history. Fans are refreshing their browsers. Resellers are lurking. And the story behind the sneaker, that's what makes it priceless. People aren't just buying footwear. They're buying into a moment, a message, a movement. What Caitlin did wasn't just a game changer. It was a blueprint. Other rookies are watching. Other stars are watching. GMs are watching. Sponsors are watching. Because the days of solo climbs and selfish contracts are numbered. What Clark did was rewrite the unwritten rulebook. She made it clear, when I win, we win. And in doing so, she forced the entire sports world to rethink how they measure greatness. And let's not gloss over the sheer guts it took. Caitlin Clark sat across from Nike, the most iconic brand in sports, and said, I want my teammate on this ride with me. That's not just bold. That's unheard of. That's Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, LeBron-level vision. And she did it not at the end of her career, not as a farewell gesture, but as a rookie. A 22-year-old changing the rules before the ink on her rookie contract even dried. And Nike, they didn't just listen. They leaned in. They knew what they were buying. Not just a logo, not just a three-point phenom. They were buying a cultural force. A voice that carries in rooms where most women are still whispering. A leader who's unafraid to shake the table and build a new one. They saw what the WNBA was trying to become, and Caitlin Clark became the spark they needed to get there. Now, here's where it gets even more unreal. This mentorship program she's launching, it's not a photo op, it's not a hashtag. It's clinics, equipment, transportation, coaches, real access to real athletes. And at the center of it, Caitlin and Sophie, side by side. The same way they walked into that Nike event, the same way they handled the court, the same way they'll now walk into schools and rec centers across the country. Together. That's not optics. That's ownership. She's building something that lives beyond her box score, beyond the highlight reels. This is infrastructure. This is legacy architecture. And in a world where so many athletes are groomed to chase brand deals for clout, Caitlin Clark just used her deal to build something brick by brick, soul by soul. And you better believe the league noticed. Suddenly, it's not just about who's scoring the most or selling the most jerseys. It's about who's making the most impact. And Caitlin just moved the goalposts. She made it cool to care. She made it powerful to share. She made it career-defining to bring someone else with you. And now, the whole WNBA is paying attention. And fans? Oh, fans are riding this wave hard. They're not just watching for the threes anymore. They're watching for the moments that matter. They're buying sneakers because they believe in what they represent. They're tweeting, reposting, and screaming from the rooftops not because of stat line, but because of a storyline. A storyline that finally feels human, real, raw, and worth believing in. Because this moment is different. It's not just another chapter in Caitlin Clark's book. It's a new genre for the WNBA. A genre where kindness is king, loyalty is currency, and success isn't just measured in rings, but in how many people you bring with you. And if this is where we're headed, buckle up, because the future of women's sports just got rewritten in bold, beautiful letters. And it started with one sentence. I'm not doing this alone.